Hello and welcome to Wednesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic. Trying to get my days right. 27th of December. I'm going to take a look at the puzzle now. I have a new graphics card in my computer, so goodness only knows if this will work. Okay, well, this was a grand final puzzle, so I have solved this before. Well, we can go through it anyway, and I'll talk about some of the interesting clues. In fact, we can see immediately one across. It's one across which I can't immediately solve, but looks exactly like it must be an anagram. Aspect is strangely, and it means unrealistic. So what is the answer to that? It's going to be, don't know. Right, one down. Leaves, tip, fibres inside. Okay, this is not too bad either actually for a grand final puzzle. So we're looking for a short synonym for tip, followed by the inside of the word fibre. So fibres inside, I mean it is what it says on the tin really. Leaves, I mean the surface is clever in that it suggests you're sort of leaving a tip for somebody. It's nothing to do with that. It's talking about salad leaves here. So good misdirection. Have a think about it. If you need to, pause the video. It's definitely the best way to learn. Type in the answer. Okay, so let's go back to this, see if I can now unravel the anagram here. Unrealistic is... still can't get it, good lord. Twosome united in act. Yeah, this is a nice clue. It's very simple. Once you have the D here, you're looking for a word that means twosome. There's probably only one we can all think of. So it's really then just justifying it. Remember, united can be abbreviated to U, as in, I suppose, Man United. And act, if you do something, you act. So again, a nice easy one for a grand final puzzle. Beastly physician confuses artery with vein. Another easy clue. So a beastly physician, I'm sure many of us are already thinking of the answer here. That is the definition. And when confuses, well, that's absolutely classic indicator of an anagram. So we need an anagram of artery and vein here. It's always a word that I failed to spell correctly. Veterinary. Okay, so let's have a look at two down. Viewed from South Island, a killer whale finds land. Well, we remembered, I think we had it yesterday or the day before, there was a reference to, the clue was Spaniard or something like that, and the answer was Minorcan, and it killer whale was used for orca there. And again, here we have it again, viewed from South Island, a killer whale finds land. Well, we must have to put, I'm already thinking of Croatia here. So how does that work? Well, viewed from the south, so that's suggesting a reversal of a down clue. Island, well, an 8 is an island, A-I-T there. So that is a word that means island. A. And then killer whale, well, there must be a shortened form of orca then, which is just orc. And that gives us a land, which is Croatia. Right, mountain climbing in Newport ruined juice producer. Well, okay, there's two short synonyms for mountain you tend to see in the puzzles. One is Ben, as in a Ben Nevis. The other is Alp. So I'd certainly be trying to fit one of those into this clue. Now we've also got an anagram of Newport by the looks of it. So it looks like we've got a 3-letter mountain reversed with an anagram of Newport around the edge to give a juice producer. So something like watermelon would be something that you might think is a possibility, but I don't think that's obviously going to work with the anagram fodder we've got here. So let's move on. Help coward to escape youngster. Oh, that's not too difficult. That one is spring chicken. If you help a coward to escape, you might spring a chicken, i.e. somebody who's a coward. Is this escapist? Why could I not see that more quickly? Good Lord. So mountain climbing in Newport anagram. Well, it'd have to be, it looks like the Alp reverse. Let's try and get this one first. Green part in smoke that rolls over tongue. Well, I'm looking at this and I'm already thinking of a tongue I can think of as in a name of a language. So green part in smoke that rolls over. Well, a smoke might be a cig or a cigar. So I'd certainly be looking at something like this. Yes, a green part would be a lee, as in a meadow. So that's being reversed in a cig, which is a smoke being reversed. So, does this help us to locate? How about that? As so something plant, is this? Power plant. Oh, brilliant. That's totally misleading. I'm thinking of a fruit. Okay, so now Bible teachings given to Polish faithful. The faithful are the work. Faithful is word perfect, isn't it? That's brilliant. That's a brilliant clue. Very clever misdirection. So Bible teachings are the word, as in the word of God, and then given to polish. If you polish something as a verb, you perfect it, and therefore, and that word perfect obviously means faithful. As in a faithful translation would be word perfect. Very nice clue. Fat vicar's bottom pinched by groom. Well, vicar's bottom. We saw this again yesterday, is words having bottoms, or bottom lip, I think was something, or bottom edge, I think was used yesterday. I'm not a massive fan of it, but I guess in a down clue, the contention is that the bottom of the word vicar could conceivably be an R, but I have to say I don't like it. But anyway, fat, pinched by groom. Well, a groom in a stable is often called the stable lad, so that gives us a word for fat lard. 7 down. One following account breaks out. Following account. No, don't know what that one is. Wife left bed, getting out after hours at hotel. Well, one thing we'd have to think about here is, what is the definition? Wife left bed sounds like an instruction, doesn't it? I mean, I'm certainly thinking that that's remove a W from a word that means bed. So I'm thinking the whole thing will mean hotel, even though hotel is also very, very common in wordplay, because of course from the sort of international alphabet it's often used to indicate an H. So I think we'll come back to that. Soldier dropped in standard, initially achieved. A soldier dropped, if we read it that way, we can think that might be a para. So it's just justifying that. A par is a standard, and then initially achieved is an A. So that looks like a good answer for that one. Pretender by stream gets to grips with family feud. Pretender. Oh, okay. This is an old word, isn't it? This is Perkin. Warbeck, I think. I have to remind myself of his role in history, but I think he was some sort of pretender to the English throne. So let's see if we can justify that. It's a name I've scraped up from my memory. By stream, well, that by could be per, P-E-R. Stream is a beck, that is a word for a stream, believe it or not. And that gets to grips with, i.e. it includes kin, which would be family, plus feud, war. So I think Perkin Warbeck, looks right, just based off the wordplay and a vague memory I have of that this is a real person. Lethargy. 7 letters beginning with I. Well, we should all be thinking of an answer immediately. So why is this right? From one in Cheers after popular hospital series. Well, it's a surprisingly contemporary TV reference here for the times. So we've got one in Cheers. Well, Cheers here is suggesting thank you, as in tar. So we've got one in tar after popular. If something's popular, it's in. And a hospital series, ER, inertia for lethargy. Nice clue. Let's come back to 5 across maybe. Dancer pulled this trick endlessly. Now, this is a very topical clue given the time of year, but obviously the Times final was in October, so perhaps we weren't all thinking of reindeer at that time. But Dancer was one of Santa's reindeer, so if you know that, this clue becomes simple. Because he pulled a sleigh and a sleight of hand. Sleight is a trick, so that without its last letter. So now we should immediately be thinking, I can think of a word that would fit here, so let's see if this works out. One following account breaks out. That's a brilliant clue. Because although I thought of the answer, it still was very unclear to me why it was the answer. And the reason for that is that it's hard to spot the definition. The definition here is in fact just out. If something's out, it's inexact. And then you've got one following. Well, one is one, the letter I. Then following is next. If something's next, it's following. And then account, i.e. the AC, is breaking into the I and the next. That's one of my favourite clues actually that we've looked at recently, because it's just so difficult to pass it correctly. And you imagine trying to solve that without all the letters, you could be there for a month of Sundays. Now this looks like we were totally wrong in terms of, or I was totally wrong in terms of how I was viewing this. A wife left. It now looks like it's the name of a famous wife to me. So why is this? Left bed, getting out after hours at hotel. Well, hours at hotel, I can see that how that could be. H for hours, at, plain text there, AT, hotel H. Wife left bed, getting out. Well, that looks like it's away. I can't quite tell how that wordplay is working. Left bed, getting out. No, I need to think about that a bit more, but I'm sure Hathaway is the answer. Let's get 17 down. Limit soldiers enforced stringently. No, I'm not quite seeing that. Again, I would recommend, if you're trying to solve a clue like this, in fact I have just solved it, but whenever you see words like soldiers, there are so many options for that in terms of what the setter might be using as an abbreviation. There's sort of OR, RA, RE, men, GIs, let alone before you start thinking about toast, because obviously soldiers, you dip them in eggs, and sometimes cryptic setters like to remind us of that. That it might not be the best clue to start with. Having said that, I did happen to solve this. It's restrict. So We've got RE, Royal Engineers, plus enforce stringently is strict. And this looks like an odd word. Regular couple from Delft provide current address. Okay, well, a regular couple from Delft would, the only way you can regularly get two letters out of the word Delft is if you take the second and the fourth letter, because if you took the odd letters, you know, you'd have three letters. So it looks like EF, provide, well, if you provide for somebody, you fend for them. And then current, we've seen that before, is often abbreviated to I. So an effendi, that is a term of address. So another difficult clue. We're starting to see why this was used for the final. Approach, position, await and intercept. Approach, position, await and intercept. Waylay, it looks like, doesn't it? Approach, position. I don't know, I want that to be waylay, but I'm not quite sure I'm seeing why. One beginning to fail would be beginning. No, don't know. Fighter's awful risk near person holding horse. Nice, very nice clue. So this is the name of a fighter. Awful risk, or awful risk near, that's screaming anagram of something. So whether it's risk or risk near, we certainly have to consider that. I mean, looking at the letters we've got in the grid, it definitely looks like an anagram of risk at least. And then, if we think about that, there's only one selection of letters that really works there, which would be that. And now combining that with the fact we think it might be the name of a fighter, we can all probably come up with the ending here, which is misher, so skirmisher. But this is a lovely clue because the rest of it, near person, if somebody's near, they're being mean, they're miserly. So that's what we've got. We've got miser here, holding horse, so holding an H. So that's how the word play is breaking down. But very hard to see that when you just read the clue. Fighter's awful risk, near person holding horse. The near person does not, on the surface reading of the clue, make you think of miser. It seems like it's somebody who is near the fighter. Okay, let's have a look at this one. Basically, that's worked to hold attention. Okay, yeah, and that's not too bad. So again, this means basically worked here is doing the duty of telling us that we need to anagram something. And what we actually need to anagram is the word that. And then we need to include within that anagram of that a word that means attention, a three-letter word that means attention. So pause if you need to. The answer is at heart, with ear being attention. Lonely type getting up behind Chinese people. Lonely type getting up behind Chinese people. A lonely type. Not sure. Timber carried back in Noah's Ark. Well, we can see a reversal within the letters of Noah's Ark there that tells us the answer to this. So it's a hidden reversal. So now a lonely type could be an orphan, couldn't it? So why is that the answer? Let's write it in, see if you can work out why. Well, the Han, the H-A-N, Han or Han, they are certainly Chinese people. Lonely type, getting up behind. Well, if you're behind something, you're for it. You're pro it. So that's how this is meant to be read. So it's a reversal of the word pro, followed by Han for Chinese people, and a lonely type as an orphan. Another very, very good clue. Now I look at this section of letters, and again, it's very good practice. This, you should immediately be thinking of a particular word. And with practice you will be. So poet, retaining English structure as basis. Well, there is a poet called Skelton. And if we add an E to that, he retains English, we get skeleton, which is structure as a basis. Night signal is extremely irrational and frequently upset. Night signal, extremely irrational and frequently upset. Well, extremely irrational strikes me as being IL. Something like very pistol. There is something called a very pistol. The way I got to that, by the way, is I was looking at frequently upset, and I was thinking that could be a reversal of lot or lots. And that then strongly suggests that this word here, the second word, was pistol. And then I was putting that together with night signaler, and I remembered that there was a very pistol. So perhaps, I don't know if that's lucky or good sense, but that's how I got to that answer. Now, how does it work? Well, extremely is very. That's a simple short synonym. An irrational number, well, pi is the most famous irrational number. So there we see pi in the clue, and then a reversal of lots for frequently. So this does look like waylay. An approach is a way, I think. Position. If you position something, you lay it. So actually await and intercept is the definition here, rather than just intercept as I'd originally thought. So that's waylay. We're getting there. Let's have a look at this one. Looks like independent or something like that without really reading it. Editor turned author appears opening pink newspaper. Okay, let's put independent in just because it looks right and see if we can work out why. Editor turned author. Well, editor is ed, and that's turned here, we can see. And that's being joined with pen, and if you pen something, you author it. So that looks very good. And that's all in a word for indent. Appears opening pink. If you pink something, do you indent it? I guess you might do. I think pink is a word to mean to stab. But I didn't know it was a word meaning indent. That's a slightly strange one. Old secretary put on pounds or stone. Well, that's very easy. Old, O, secretary, PA, put on pounds. Well, L, we've seen that before as a very common abbreviation for pounds, and an opal is a stone. So, okay, one beginning to fail. Well, now this is, if we divide this up, we need a word that means somebody who begins something, and we also need a word that means to fail. Have a think if you need to. The answer is founder. Given coaching in voice that's showing strain. Okay, well, this is one of those clues that I think with practice you get very quick at solving, but without practice you can be there all day sort of running through the alphabet trying to come up with things that fit. But we need a word that means strain here, and it's a homophone for a word that means given coaching. If you teach someone, or in the past tense, you taught, given coaching or taught, T-A-U-G-H-T, and torch like that means showing strain. So one more, time to race along, hard going for distance swimmer. It looks like turtle, doesn't it? Ah yes, okay, so we've got time, which is T. To race along is to hurtle, but the hard is going, and then a distant swimmer is a turtle. So this is, I think, the correct answer. Let's just submit that. I went through it quite slowly today to pass all the clues, as the championship puzzles often merit a bit of description. There were a couple we wanted to check, wasn't there? So where are they? 8 down. Wife left bed getting out. After hours getting. Wife left bed. Oh, okay. I think this is the left bed thing. I think is misdirection here. It's not saying that we take the word bed out of a word for left or anything like that. Shakespeare, I think, left his bed in his will to Anne Hathaway, and so that the definition here is wife left bed, as in a wife who was left a bed in will, and then getting out is away, and so that makes sense in terms of how that one breaks down. Now, where was the other one that I wanted to just think about a bit more? Wasn't very pistol, wasn't orphan. Oh, this 26 across, independent. Editor turned, author, pen, appears opening, pink. Well, pink, I am not familiar with the word pink meaning to indent. I mean, pink has about 10 different meanings, I think, in Chambers. It means an extraordinary selection of things, so it wouldn't surprise me at all if one of those meanings was to indent. It certainly wouldn't be the first thing that I would be thinking of. I think it definitely means to stab, but I don't really think indent means to stab, so it must be another meaning of pink. That would be my contention anyway. So what else can I tell you about this puzzle? Well, Mark, who won the Times Championship, solved this puzzle in about 5 minutes, which I think, although there were some easy anagrams at the start, there's enough in there in terms of difficult clues and difficult wordplay to be quite a feat of solving. Anyway, so I hope this was a useful run through of that, and we'll see you again tomorrow for a more normal edition. Yeah, thanks for watching this edition of Cracking the Cryptic.